Hello everybody. Today we are doing What If Naruto was Itachi's apprentice, part 1. I do want to list off some things first. So I am sorry for having a wait between each video and everything, but my birthday's coming up and some things have been happening. Especially tonight. So, on to the video. Okay, a little bit mad, but yeah, after that intro, I do want to say, I did just do the entire What If without recording. Ouchie. Ouchie indeed. So, we once again start off attempt 4. When Naruto is being beaten up by the villagers, and as he cries out for help, Itachi, from fleeing from the scene of the Uchiha massacre, hears the sound and answers his call as he cuts down the 3 villagers, as Naruto is just entranced with how strong Itachi felt at that moment. He felt like a towering presence over Naruto, as Naruto gasps and says, You're Itachi Uchiha, the legendary Anbu. You're very young. As Itachi says, I have to go. Survive for the leaf. And please, take care of Sasuke. As he continues off, as Naruto follows him as much as he could, and says, Please train me. I don't want to be the weakling I am referred to. I need to know why everyone hates me too. No one will tell me anything. I want answers, but I'm not powerful enough to get them. Please, Itachi Uchiha, train me. As Itachi looks back and stops and says, Well, if that's really what you want from me, you'll have to get it the hard way. As he pulls out his sword, and Naruto steps back as Itachi says, Training starts now. As Itachi immediately bolts to Naruto, slashing his sword at him, as Naruto thinks to himself, I wonder what kind of person would subject someone to this training. As mid-thought, he gets slashed in the chest with Itachi's sword, as Itachi says, That was 10%. You've got a good amount of time to go, till you can even compare to me without my Sharingan. But you are the Nine-Tails, so I see potential in you, Uzumaki Naruto. As Naruto bows and says, Hi, which is yes in Japanese. And they begin their training. For the first couple months, Naruto masters basic things like some basic taijutsu and kenjutsu, along with manners. He gains a good amount of manners from Itachi, because Itachi is so straightforward and calm, unlike the maverick Naruto. So, Naruto, being quite happy through all this training, we arrive a year later, as Naruto says, Master, I'm ready to take you on 100%. Without your Sharingan, of course. As Itachi gets up and takes him out of the house and says, Let's do this then. As Itachi blitzes Naruto with his sword in hand. As Naruto, who had been given Itachi's Anbu sword blocks the attack, and they begin clashing sword strikes, but Naruto is quickly outmatched by the person who had taught him, because Itachi knows how to exploit his fighting style. So Naruto is quickly unarmed as he begins dodging the sword strikes as much as he could, but he did still get cuts occasionally. And as Naruto cranks his back as he dodges a slash from Itachi, Naruto says, "Take this," as he does a ton of hand signs in very quick succession, and says, "Fireball Jutsu," as he sends it off towards Itachi, but Itachi quickly shunsins out of the way. And coming from the forest, Itachi says, "Good job, Naruto, but we'll take more from that. You've still got 3 minutes to go, and I won't make this easy," as he blitzes Naruto once again, as Naruto quickly grabs his sword and turns around to block the attack, as Itachi put him under a genjutsu, as the entire sky turned red, as Naruto says, "Right," as he puts a lot of chakra in his fingers and says, "Release," as Itachi had his sword at his neck and was about to swing. Obviously, he wouldn't actually do it, but he wanted to see what Naruto would do, as Naruto quickly dodges out of the way, and with a very swift strike, cuts Itachi very deeply on the neck, as Itachi, surprised, falls to the ground and says, "That hurt," as he's slow to get up, as Naruto says, "Master, what is it?" as Itachi, who had put him under a genjutsu, says, "You idiot," as Naruto quickly said release, and Itachi was in front of him saying, "Good job. You got through that. 1 minute left," as Naruto begins swinging his sword at Itachi, trying to buy time, but Itachi quickly dodges and uppercuts Naruto in the ribs, as Naruto spat out some spit. Itachi looks at him and says, "You're already tired. Then take this," as he says, "Phoenix Fire Jutsu," as he sends massive fireballs and a ton of them at Naruto, as Naruto says, "Take this," as he says, "Mud Wall Jutsu," as it makes a massive mud wall, covering him from the attacks. But as Naruto goes to catch his breath, he sees Itachi right in front of him, as Naruto swings his sword, but Itachi dodges and cuts him on the side, and then throws 2 kunai into Naruto's back, as Naruto grunts from all the attacks into him. Naruto quickly sends a kunai swirling at Itachi, but Itachi catches it and says, "I expected better, Naruto. After all, you are my apprentice." As Naruto said, "Genjutsu," as he says, "Release," as Itachi says, "Let's see how many layers you think there is." As Naruto had the same cuts, but noticed he was in a different spot and says, "So it was a genjutsu. He's just performing the same exact cuts. Okay, good to know." As Naruto gets his sword ready, and Itachi notices the Kyuubi's influence start to flare up, as the slashes get even swifter, as Itachi eventually gets cut on the chin, as Naruto says, "Take this," as he swerves his sword around at Itachi's neck and tries to plunge it in, but Itachi says, "No, Naruto," as he uses his Susanoo to block it, as Naruto gets flung into a tree, and barely conscious, he says, "Dang fox, as Itachi comes over and with a chop to his neck, but Naruto dodges quickly and with a swipe of his sword cuts Itachi on the forehead and says, Sasuke probably would have liked that. As he falls unconscious, as Itachi says, happy you at least listened to my stories. As he carries Naruto back to their cabin, which was a cottage and far away from the leaf, very far. So, Itachi, for the next 2 years, trained Naruto in very high-level kenjutsu, along with high-level taijutsu, and sometimes would teach him some new elemental jutsus. And they also saw that Naruto's chakra nature was wind. And while this was happening, Naruto was training one day, and Itachi says, so, you sure you only have wind, correct? As Naruto tries to use all of them. As he tries to use a fire jutsu, but nothing comes out. He could only do mud wall because he'd obviously mastered it, but it was pretty easy to the average person, we'll assume. But Naruto then suddenly shoots a twig out of his arm and says, what the? As Itachi notices, so, the Senju clan. Interesting. Uzumaki Namikaze Senju. Interesting. Very particular. As Naruto begins training as much as he could with his wind chakra nature and his now present wood release. So, as he slowly learned as much jutsu as he could from Itachi's memory, from just hearing stories about Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju. Actually, no, he probably didn't know any, but a lot of Hashirama Senju things. And one day, Naruto woke up to find a massive scroll next to him, seeing it said Forbidden Jutsus. As Itachi said, I need you to master all of these by the end of this year. And as it was nearly the end of June for him, he says, yes, master. As he began using all the jutsus he could without dying. Because a lot of them were just all or nothing jutsus. But there was 3 that caught his eyes. The Edo Tensei Jutsu, or I believe what it's called also, in Perfect World Reincarnation. That could be something else, I don't know. Say it in the comments if you can. Okay, we are recording. Good. So, also he found 2 other. The Flying Raijin Jutsu and the Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. Along with a couple instructions on a incomplete jutsu called the Rasengan. And Naruto thought the 4 of those jutsus sound incredibly fun. So, he quickly learned how to use the Rasengan with as many instructions as there were in the scroll. And he even combined a little combo with it. He would make a massive tree and make tons of little hands come out of it. And one random one would have a Rasengan in it. And then all of them would. And, with shadow clones, he could make multiple trees. And that would be a lot of Rasengans. So, he called it... No, I can't really come up with a name. You guys can come up with a name for wood style and Rasengan in the comments. Rasengan. Why was I saying Rasengan? Like, spelling it out. It's Rasengan, I know. So, yeah. Let me check something. Okay. Good time. So, Naruto, for the next 2 years, he was now 12, learned all the jutsus he could, and mastered them too, with the Flying Raijin being his least proficient, and he was really good with the multi-shadow clone jutsu. He had also learned how to use the wood golem jutsu, but wasn't good at it very much. Yeah. So, Naruto walks up to Itachi, and Itachi says, "So you mastered them?" It only took a whole year extra. As Naruto says, "Well, yeah, but you also wanted me to incorporate wood style into them. That's hard, you know. But they're really good techniques now." As Itachi walks out and says, "Well, time for our final standoff. You as my apprentice." As Naruto says, "Oh, okay, master." As they begin fighting, and Naruto showcases all of his jutsus. And towards the end of the fight, Naruto gets shot into a corner, and Naruto flares up with his 2 tails, Jinchuriki stare, as Naruto says, "Okay, I'm in control. Okay, take this, Itachi," as he uses hundreds, well no, we'll say 20 multi-shadow clones, and they all make their signature wood golem as they begin attacking Itachi. As Itachi has to pull out his Susanoo to fight them, but even that is getting absolutely demolished. So Itachi says, "Fine," as he covers it in Amaterasu flames, as it becomes somewhat of an equal fight. I know, guys, if you're gonna pull up the Hashirama fight against Madara, just know Naruto was only 12 and not that good at the wood golem jutsu. And as that's happening, Naruto makes a ton of trees. That is a lot of tree. So they all have hundreds of hands with Rasengans. As he says, "My ultimate move. Multi-shadow clone Rasengan." As they all send off their signature Rasengans, and with the massive explosion, Itachi tries to fire at him, but all the Rasengans pile up into one wood golem, and then all the wood golems fuse into that one, making the strongest attack Naruto could send, as he says, "My ultimate move. Wood style. Wood golem Rasengan," as it sends the massive Rasengan, making the dragon push it forward even. As the wood golem also gets in front of the Susanoo, making the strongest punch it can. As the attacks collide, Itachi sends his full power Totsuka blade at the attack with Amaterasu surrounding it, as it makes a massive explosion. And that, everybody, is where I'll be leaving off for this What If Naruto Was Itachi's Apprentice, Part 1. And yes, this is Kito signing off. Goodbye.